Why do athletes get interviewed? Athletes get interviewed for a range of different reasons. One is to review their performance. After a game, athletes may review their performance through an interview from the media or sports channels. This can be used to help their performance in the long run, as they are using a form of self-evaluation. Another reason to do interviews is to review their career as a whole. Athletes may do interviews with certain media platforms to review their career as a whole in order to see if they are on track with their plans that they may have made in the past. Another reason is to sell or promote sponsored items. Athletes are sponsored by a range of different companies and are inclined through contract to promote and sell their products. Athletes can use a range of different platforms to get their view across or to take part in interviews. These include social media, radio, TV, and the internet. Today, social media has become a very wide influence within society. Athletes can use their social media platforms and profiles to display information about various different things in their life, be it about their career or personal life in general. Radio is also another way to conduct an interview. This can be done easily and simply on different radio stations broadcast over a certain period of time and over a certain network. The TV is probably the most common place to do interviews for athletes, as it can be done straight after a game, before a game, at any time. Communicating with the media. During interviews on TV, it is important that athletes ensure that they are communicating well with the interviewer. They need to seem like they want to be there and that they are happy to answer any questions that they are asked. When partaking in an interview, athletes need to be aware of verbal communication. This means that the athletes need to be careful of what they're saying and how they are saying, depending on the interview. When being interviewed, athletes need to be aware of the different types of questions. The first type of question is an open question. These are questions that can be answered in any way, which may be, why did you do this? What are your thoughts on this? And so on and so forth. Closed questions are questions that require a simple answer, such as yes or no. Other things to be aware of during interviews is non-verbal communication. This includes your things like body language. Body language is important and displays how you really feel about what is going on. Slouching is commonly known or seen as being not interested or not communicating. This type of body language seems more interested than before. When being interviewed by different people, it is important that athletes consider who they are being interviewed by and where they are being interviewed. For example, on a radio interview, it is not important on how your body language is, as the public or people listening to the interview cannot see what your body language is. However, during TV interviews, this is important as people can see your body language as well as hear your voice. How you communicate also depends on who you are being who you are being interviewed by or with. If you're alone, you may not need to worry about this. However, if you're being interviewed by or with your manager, you may need to consider what is being said about both your team, club as a whole, other players, manager, and yourself. If you're being interviewed with or by your sponsor, it is important that you do not say anything that will infringe your sponsorship contract or slate off or promote other brands. It is important that athletes are aware. When setting goals, it is important to think of these 5 things. Specific. Your goal has to be specific. This means that the goal must be set to a certain amount of time or relevance. For example, if you are participating in basketball, it would not be specific for you to carry out a goal that means or requires techniques with your feet, because this is not relevant for your sport. Measurable. Your goal has to be measurable. This means that you must have clear improvement between this when you set your goal and when you aim to achieve your goal. For example, if you're a sprinter, you may say that you want to run 100 meters in 12.2 seconds when you currently run it in 12.5 seconds. Achievable. Your goal has to be achievable. This means that you are able to achieve it. Achievable and the next, realistic, sort of go hand in hand. This means that your goal needs to be something that is not way too over the top or undermines your ability and capability. Finally, time-based. This means that your goal has to be given over a certain period of time, meaning during your length of training. For example, if you're a sprinter and you aim to get 12.2 seconds instead of 12.5 seconds over a course of 6 weeks training. I thought Joe was back again. SWOT is a form of analysis broken down into strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It is used to help with goal setting and career planning. Here is an example of a SWOT analysis that I carried out for a basketball player. Strengths. This particular player's strengths are shooting and layups. Weaknesses. Passing, dribbling. Opportunities to make their weaknesses better. Advanced training sessions and extra training sessions. Threats that may hinder their performance. Injuries to back. Improving weaknesses and threats. Here are a few ideas or activities that can help improve their weaknesses and threats. Here we have an exercise that can help improve dribbling. Here you can see the instructions for the activity and diagram demonstrating how to carry out the activity. Here is an activity to help with passing. Here we see again instructions for the activities and diagrams to help the activity. For his threat, I have noted that he is injured for his lower back. This can be helped by both physiotherapy sessions and the use of stretches during his personal time. Here are an example of such stretches that can help with lower back injuries.